text message came through at 2:47 a.m. on a Wednesday. I was awake because our 3-month-old daughter Zoe had just finished nursing, and I was trying to get her back to sleep. My phone lit up on the nightstand. Unknown number. I almost didn't open it, but something made me look. Something told me this message was going to change everything. The message said, "We need to talk about Cameron, about what happened, about why I did what I did. I know you hate me. I know you'll never forgive me. But you deserve to know the truth. The whole truth. Not the version everyone thinks they know. Meet me tomorrow at 3 p.m. at the coffee shop on Elm Street. Please, I'm begging you. Give me 30 minutes to explain. Then you never have to see me again. Please, Simone. Please." It was from Lauren, my former best friend. The woman who slept with my husband. The woman who destroyed my marriage. The woman I hadn't spoken to in 18 months. The woman whose name I couldn't hear without feeling physically sick. I stared at that message for 10 minutes, read it over and over, trying to decide if I should respond, if I should go, if I should give her the 30 minutes she was begging for. Part of me wanted to delete it, block the number, never think about her again. But another part of me, the part that had been asking why for 18 months, wanted answers, needed answers. I typed back, "I'll be there, but you have 30 minutes. That's it. The next day, Thursday afternoon, I left Zoe with my mother and drove to the coffee shop. My hands were shaking the entire drive. I hadn't seen Lauren since the day I found out. The day my entire world collapsed. The day I discovered my husband and my best friend had been having an affair for 7 months. 7 months of lies. 7 months of betrayal. 7 months of them pretending to care about me while destroying me behind my back. I walked into the coffee shop at exactly 3 p.m. Lauren was already there, sitting at a corner table, looking smaller than I remembered, thinner, tired, like she hadn't slept in months. She looked up when I walked in. Our eyes met, and I saw something I didn't expect. I saw pain. Real pain. Not guilt, not shame, but deep, soul-crushing pain. I sat down across from her. Didn't order coffee. Didn't say hello. Just sat, waiting. She had 30 minutes. The clock was already ticking. Lauren took a deep breath, started talking. Her voice was shaky, barely above a whisper. "Thank you for coming. I know you didn't have to. I know you probably hate me more than you've ever hated anyone, and you have every right to. What I did was unforgivable. Sleeping with Cameron, lying to you, betraying you. I destroyed our friendship. I destroyed your marriage. I destroyed your trust, and I'm so sorry." I didn't respond, just stared at her, waiting for more, waiting for the truth she promised. "But I need you to know something," Lauren continued. "Something I've never told anyone. Something that's been eating me alive for 2 years. I didn't sleep with Cameron to hurt you. I didn't pursue him to destroy your marriage. I didn't betray you because I didn't care about you. I betrayed you because I was in love with him. I've been in love with him since the day you introduced us. Since your wedding day. Since the moment I stood next to you as your maid of honor and watched you marry the man I was secretly in love with." My stomach dropped. "What?" Lauren's tears started flowing. "I know how that sounds. I know it doesn't make it better. In some ways it makes it worse. But it's the truth. When you and Cameron started dating 7 years ago, when you brought him to meet me, when you told me he was the one, when you asked me to be your maid of honor, I was happy for you. Genuinely happy. You were my best friend. You deserved love. You deserved happiness. But I also felt something I didn't expect. I felt attracted to him. Drawn to him. Connected to him in a way I'd never felt with anyone. "Stop," I said. My voice was cold. Controlled. "I don't want to hear this." "Please," Lauren begged. "Please let me finish. You said you wanted the truth. This is the truth. I tried to ignore it. Tried to push it down. Tried to be happy for you. For 5 years I watched you build a life with him. Watched you get married. Watched you buy a house. Watched you get pregnant. And I was there for all of it. Supporting you. Celebrating with you. Being your best friend. But the whole time, I was also in love with your husband. Secretly. Silently. Knowing I could never tell you. Knowing I could never act on it. Knowing I had to bury it and pretend it didn't exist. I stood up. I'm leaving. This is sick. You're trying to justify what you did by saying you loved him? That doesn't make it better. That makes it worse. Wait, Lauren said desperately. Please. There's more. You need to hear all of it. No, I don't, I said. I don't need to hear how you were in love with my husband while pretending to be my friend. I don't need to hear how you justified sleeping with him. I don't need any of this. He pursued me, Lauren said. The words came out fast. Desperate. Cameron pursued me. Not the other way around. I never made a move. Never crossed a line. Never gave any indication of how I felt. But 2 years ago, at your baby shower, something changed. You were 8 months pregnant with Zoe. You were exhausted. You went to lie down upstairs. And Cameron and I were alone in the kitchen cleaning up. And he told me he knew. He said he could tell. He said he'd noticed for years the way I looked at him. The way I acted around him. And he said he felt it too. Said he'd been attracted to me for years but never acted on it because of you. Because you were his wife. But that day, he said he couldn't pretend anymore. Said he wanted me. And I should have said no. Should have walked away. Should have told you immediately. But I didn't. Because I'd been in love with him for 5 years. And hearing him say he wanted me too, it broke every defense I'd built. Every wall I'd erected. Every promise I'd made to myself to never cross that line. My legs felt weak. I sat back down. Not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't stand anymore. We kissed that day, Lauren continued. In your kitchen, while you were upstairs sleeping. While you were 8 months pregnant with his baby. While I was supposed to be your best friend helping you celebrate. We kissed, and it was everything I'd imagined for 5 years. Everything I'd dreamed about. Everything I'd convinced myself I could never have. And after that kiss, we couldn't stop. We met in secret, twice a week, for 7 months. At my apartment, in his car, in hotel rooms, living a double life. Lying to you, betraying you, all while I was still acting like your best friend. Still coming over to help with the baby. Still doing girls' nights. Still being your support system. I'm a monster. I know I am. But I'm a monster who was in love. And love made me do monstrous things. I felt numb. Completely numb. Processing what she was saying. Processing the timeline. The baby shower. 8 months pregnant. That was the beginning. That was when it started. When I was at my most vulnerable. When I needed both of them most. Why are you telling me this? I finally asked. Why now? 18 months later. Why do I need to know you loved him? Because you blamed yourself, Lauren said quietly. After everything came out. After you divorced Cameron. After you cut me off. I heard through mutual friends that you spent months wondering what you did wrong. Wondering if you weren't enough. Wondering if you'd failed as a wife. And I need you to know it wasn't you. It was never you. You were an amazing wife. An amazing mother. An amazing friend. Cameron didn't cheat because of anything you lacked. He cheated because I was there. Available. In love with him. Making it easy. And I need you to know that, so you can stop blaming yourself. So you can stop carrying shame that was never yours to carry. This was about me and my selfish love. About him and his selfish choices. But it was never about you not being enough. Tears started streaming down my face. For 18 months I had blamed myself. Wondered what I could have done differently. Wondered if I'd been too focused on the baby. Too tired. Too distant. Too unavailable. Wondered if I'd driven my husband into the arms of another woman. And here was Lauren, telling me it wasn't me. It was never me. Cameron and I aren't together anymore, Lauren said. In case you were wondering. We tried. After you divorced him. After everything was exposed. We tried to make it work. Tried to turn our affair into a real relationship. But it fell apart in 3 months. Because what we had was built on lies and secrecy and stolen moments. It couldn't survive real life. Couldn't survive daylight. Couldn't survive being together without the thrill of hiding. We fought constantly. About you. About guilt. About whether what we did was worth it. And eventually we both realized it wasn't. We destroyed your life. Destroyed your marriage. Destroyed our friendship. And for what? For a relationship that couldn't even last 3 months once it was real. I destroyed everything for nothing. Good, I said. The word came out harsh. Cold. Good. You deserved that. You deserved to lose him. You deserved to lose everything. You're right, Lauren said. I did deserve it. I do deserve it. I deserve your hatred, your anger, your refusal to ever forgive me. But I also needed you to know the truth, that I didn't betray you casually. I didn't sleep with your husband on a whim. I did it because I was in love with him, and I thought that love was worth the cost. I was wrong. Love that destroys others isn't love at all. It's selfishness. It's sin. It's evil, and I've been paying for it every day for the past 2 years. I lost you. I lost him. I lost my self-respect. I lost my peace. I lost everything. And I deserve it all. I sat there, staring at her, at this woman who used to be my best friend, who used to be my sister, who I'd trusted with my deepest secrets, and my biggest fears, and my most vulnerable moments, who'd betrayed me in the worst possible way, and now was sitting across from me crying, telling me she loved my husband, telling me that's why she destroyed me. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to tell her that loving him didn't make it okay, that loving him made it worse, that she should have walked away, should have distanced herself, should have protected me instead of pursuing him. But another part of me, a part I didn't want to acknowledge, felt something unexpected. I felt sorry for her, sorry that she'd been in love with someone she couldn't have, sorry that she'd carried that secret for 5 years, sorry that she'd made terrible choices that cost her everything. Sorry that she was sitting here broken and devastated and destroyed by her own decisions. I need to go, I said, standing up. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for explaining. Thank you for giving me closure I didn't know I needed. But I can't do this. I can't sit here and process this with you. I need space. I need time. I need to figure out what to do with this information. I understand, Lauren said. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Thank you for not walking out immediately. I know I don't deserve your grace, but thank you anyway. I left, got in my car, drove home, and cried for an hour. Not because I forgave Lauren, not because I understood, but because everything I'd thought about the affair was different now. I'd thought Lauren betrayed me out of carelessness, out of opportunity, out of casual disregard for our friendship, but she'd betrayed me out of love. Misguided, selfish, destructive love, but love nonetheless. And somehow that made it more complicated, more painful, more confusing. That night, after I put Zoe to bed, I called my pastor. Pastor Denise had been walking with me through the divorce, through the betrayal, through the healing process. She'd been praying for me, counseling me, helping me rebuild my life and my faith after everything fell apart. I need to talk, I told her. Something happened today that I can't process alone. Come over, she said immediately. I'll make tea. We'll talk through it. I drove to Pastor Denise's house, sat in her living room, and told her everything. About Lauren's message, about meeting her, about what she confessed, about being in love with Cameron for 5 years, about the affair starting at my baby shower, about everything falling apart, about feeling sorry for Lauren even though I didn't want to. Pastor Denise listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke. What Lauren did was wrong. Inexcusable. Evil. She betrayed you. She betrayed Cameron. She betrayed herself. She betrayed God. Nothing about what she did was okay. Her being in love with him doesn't justify it, doesn't excuse it, doesn't make it less sinful, but it does explain it. And sometimes understanding why someone hurt us is part of how we heal, not because it makes the hurt go away, but because it helps us stop wondering if we caused it. You didn't cause this, Simone. Lauren's love for Cameron, Cameron's attraction to Lauren, their affair, your broken marriage, none of that is your fault. You were a good wife, a good mother, a good friend. They failed you. You didn't fail them. Tears started flowing again. That's what Lauren said. That she needed me to know it wasn't my fault. That I didn't do anything wrong. That I was enough. And she was right. Pastor Denise said, "You were enough. You are enough. Their sin doesn't define your worth. Their choices don't determine your value. You are a daughter of God, fearfully and wonderfully made, deeply loved, fully valued, and nothing Cameron or Lauren did changes that." "But how do I move forward from here?" I asked. "Now that I know Lauren loved him. Now that I know it wasn't just casual betrayal. Now that I understand why she did it. How do I process that? How do I heal from that?" "You forgive her," Pastor Denise said simply. "Not because she deserves it, but because you deserve freedom. Right now, you're still carrying this, still bound to it, still imprisoned by their choices. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks your prison. It doesn't unlock theirs. It doesn't set them free. It sets you free. And you deserve to be free, Simone." "I don't know if I can forgive her," I whispered. "What she did was too big, too painful, too destructive." "You're right," Pastor Denise said. "It is too big, too painful, too destructive. In your own strength, you can't forgive it. But with God's strength, you can. With God's grace, you can. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually, little by little, choice by choice, you can forgive. And when you do, you'll experience freedom like you've never known." I went home that night and prayed, really prayed. For the first time in months, I didn't just go through the motions. I didn't just recite memorized words. I cried out to God, told him I was angry, hurt, confused, torn. Told him I didn't know how to forgive, didn't know how to move forward, didn't know how to be free. And I asked him to help me, to give me strength I didn't have, to give me grace I didn't possess, to help me forgive what seemed unforgivable. Over the next 3 months, God started working, slowly, subtly, but unmistakably. Little by little, the anger started loosening, the bitterness started releasing, the pain started healing. I started praying for Lauren, not because I felt like it, but because Pastor Denise told me to. Told me that praying for someone changes your heart toward them. And she was right. Every time I prayed for Lauren's healing, for her freedom, for her restoration, something shifted in me. The hatred softened, the rage quieted, the unforgiveness cracked. 4 months after meeting Lauren at the coffee shop, I was at church on a Sunday morning, sitting in the back row because I'd arrived late with Zoe. The sermon was about forgiveness, about how Jesus forgave his betrayers, about how he prayed for them even while they were crucifying him, about how he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And something broke open inside me during that sermon. I started weeping, uncontrollably. Zoe was in the nursery. I was alone in that back row. And I was sobbing, because I realized I'd been holding on to unforgiveness as a weapon, as protection, as a way to punish Lauren. But the only person I was really punishing was myself. After service, I went to the altar, knelt down, and released it all. Released Lauren. Released Cameron. Released the betrayal. Released the pain. Released the anger. Released the need for revenge. Released the desire for them to suffer. Released all of it. And in that releasing, I felt something I hadn't felt in 2 years. I felt peace. Real peace. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of God in the middle of pain. That afternoon, I did something I never thought I'd do. I texted Lauren, "I forgive you. I don't know if we'll ever be friends again. I don't know if I'll ever fully trust you again. But I forgive you. I release you. I release what you did. I release the debt. You're free. And so am I." Lauren's response came 30 minutes later. "Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know that. but I receive it. And I'm so, so grateful. You've given me something I couldn't give myself. Peace. Thank you, Simone. Thank you. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. It was done. The forgiveness was given. The release was complete, and I felt lighter than I'd felt in 2 years. 6 months after forgiving Lauren, I met someone. His name was Jordan. We met at a church community event. He was visiting from another state, had just moved to town for a new job, asked for my number, started calling, started taking me to dinner, started pursuing me with intention and honesty and gentleness. He knew about my past, about Cameron, about Lauren, about the affair, about the divorce. I told him everything early on. Didn't want secrets, didn't want surprises. And he said, I'm not Cameron. I won't lie. I won't cheat. I won't betray you. I'll prove that to you every single day for as long as it takes. And he did. Proved it through his actions, through his consistency, through his transparency, through his love for God and his respect for me and his patience with my trust issues. 8 months after we started dating, Jordan proposed. Said I was the woman he'd been praying for. Said God had restored my heart so we could have a future together. Said he wanted to spend his life showing me what real love looks like. I said yes. 1 year after forgiving Lauren, Jordan and I got married. At the same church where I'd knelt at the altar and released her, Pastor Denise officiated. My mother walked me down the aisle while holding Zoe. It was small, intimate, beautiful. 50 people. Close friends and family. People who'd supported me through the darkest season of my life. People who'd prayed me through. People who'd believed God would restore what the enemy had stolen. At the reception, something unexpected happened. I got a card, hand-delivered by the venue staff. They said a woman dropped it off but didn't stay. I opened it. It was from Lauren. Simone, I know I'm not invited. I know I don't deserve to be part of this day. But I wanted you to know that I'm so happy for you. So grateful that God restored your life. So thankful that you found real love with a man who will honor you the way Cameron should have. You deserve every happiness, every blessing, every good thing. Thank you for forgiving me. Thank you for releasing me. Thank you for giving me a chance to heal too. I'm in counseling now, working through why I made the choices I made, working through the brokenness that made me think destroying you was acceptable, working on becoming a better person, a whole person, a healthy person. I'll probably never see you again, but I wanted you to know your forgiveness changed my life. It set me free from shame, from guilt, from self-hatred. It gave me hope that I could be forgiven by God too. If you could forgive me, maybe He could too. So thank you for showing me what grace looks like, what mercy looks like, what Jesus looks like. I'll carry that with me for the rest of my life. Congratulations on your marriage. May God bless you and Jordan with every good thing. Love always, Lauren. I showed the card to Jordan. He read it, then looked at me. How do you feel about her sending this? I feel glad, I said honestly. Glad she's healing. Glad she's getting help. Glad my forgiveness helped her. Glad she's finding her way back to God. I don't want a relationship with her. Don't want her in my life. But I do want her to be okay. I want her to heal. I want her to find peace. I want her to experience God's grace and restoration too. That's beautiful, Jordan said. That's real forgiveness. Not just releasing the offense, but actually wanting good things for the person who hurt you. That's Jesus. 2 years after forgiving Lauren, Jordan and I welcomed a son, Isaiah Jordan, born healthy and strong. Zoe was 3 years old. Thrilled to be a big sister. My life was full, beautiful, blessed. I was working as a nurse practitioner. Jordan was an engineer. We bought a house, had a strong marriage. We're active at church. We're raising our kids to love God. We're living in complete freedom and wholeness. One Sunday morning, 3 years after forgiving Lauren, I saw her. At church. Not my church. but at a community worship event where multiple churches gathered. She was there with another church, standing in the crowd, worshiping, hands raised, eyes closed, tears streaming down her face. She looked different, lighter, freer, healed. I watched her for a moment, felt no anger, no bitterness, no pain, just compassion, just gratitude that she was healing too. After the event, Lauren saw me. Our eyes met across the crowded room. She looked scared, like she thought I'd walk away, like she thought I'd be angry she was there. But I smiled, nodded, acknowledged her. She smiled back, mouthed thank you, then turned and left. That was it. Our only interaction in 3 years. A smile, a nod, an acknowledgement. But it was enough. It was closure. It was proof that forgiveness had truly freed us both. Today, 5 years after Lauren confessed everything, I'm 38 years old, married to an incredible man who loves God and loves me well, mother to Zoe, now 8 years old, and Isaiah, now 3, nurse practitioner at a local hospital, active in ministry at church, leading a support group for divorced women navigating betrayal, sharing my testimony of forgiveness and restoration, living in complete freedom. Cameron is remarried to someone else, not Lauren. They both moved on. Both tried to rebuild. Both face the consequences of their choices. I pray for them both, not out of obligation, but out of genuine hope for their healing. Lauren and I aren't friends. Probably never will be. Too much happened. Too much pain. Too much betrayal. But I don't hate her. Don't wish her harm. Don't want her to suffer. I want her to heal, to find real love, to experience God's grace and redemption, because that's what forgiveness does. It frees you to want good things, even for those who hurt you. People ask me sometimes how I forgave her, how I moved past such deep betrayal, how I trusted again, how I loved again, how I rebuilt. And I tell them the truth. I couldn't do it alone. I couldn't manufacture forgiveness in my own strength. But God gave me grace. God gave me strength. God gave me the ability to forgive what seemed unforgivable. And in forgiving, God set me free. Free from bitterness. Free from anger. Free from the prison of unforgiveness. Free to move forward. Free to love again. Free to trust again. Free to live again. Lauren's last words to me that day at the coffee shop were, "I didn't mean to hurt you, but I loved him too." And those words used to haunt me, used to make me angrier, used to make the betrayal feel worse. But now, 5 years later, I understand them differently. She didn't mean to hurt me, but she did. Because love without boundaries is destructive. Love without integrity is selfish. Love without wisdom is dangerous. Her love for Cameron destroyed her. Destroyed him. Destroyed me. Destroyed all of us. Until God stepped in. Until forgiveness was chosen. Until healing began. I didn't mean to hurt you, but I loved him too. That's not an excuse. It's an explanation. And explanations don't erase consequences. But they do help with understanding. They help with healing. They help with moving forward. And I'm grateful for that understanding. Grateful for that explanation. Grateful for the closure it gave me. Grateful for the freedom it made possible. At our church women's retreat last year, I was asked to share my testimony, to share my story of betrayal and forgiveness and restoration. I stood in front of 200 women and told them everything. About Cameron's affair, about Lauren's confession, about her being in love with him, about forgiving her, about God restoring my life with Jordan, about the freedom I found on the other side of forgiveness. When I finished, women were standing, applauding, crying, coming forward for prayer. Dozens of women said they'd been carrying unforgiveness for years, for people who hurt them, betrayed them, destroyed them, and hearing my story gave them permission to release it, to forgive, to be free. One woman came up to me afterward. She was crying, shaking. She said, "My sister slept with my husband. 5 years ago. I've hated her ever since. Haven't spoken to her. Told my kids they don't have an aunt. Poisoned my entire family against her. But hearing you tonight, Hearing how you forgave Lauren, it broke something in me. I've been imprisoning myself with unforgiveness. I've been hurting myself more than I've been hurting her. I need to forgive her. I need to be free. Will you pray with me? I prayed with her right there. Prayed for her to have strength to forgive. Prayed for her heart to heal. Prayed for her family to be restored. Prayed for her sister to experience grace. And as I prayed, I thought about my own journey, about how 5 years ago I never thought I could forgive Lauren, never thought I could release what she did, never thought I could be free from that betrayal. But God did what seemed impossible. God gave me grace to forgive. God gave me strength to release. God gave me freedom to move forward. And if God could do that for me, He could do it for anyone. I didn't mean to hurt you, but I loved him too. Those words don't justify what Lauren did. Don't erase the pain she caused. Don't minimize the destruction she left behind. But they do remind me that hurt people. Broken people break people. And healing only comes when we choose to release those who've hurt us, when we choose to forgive those who've broken us, when we choose freedom over revenge, when we choose peace over punishment. 5 years ago, Lauren confessed everything. Confessed that she loved Cameron. Confessed that she'd been in love with him since my wedding day. Confessed that the affair wasn't casual but calculated, driven by years of hidden love. And in that confession, she gave me the truth I needed to stop blaming myself. The truth that set me free from shame. The truth that allowed me to heal. And 3 months later, I gave her something back. I gave her forgiveness. Not because she deserved it, but because I deserved freedom. And in forgiving her, I freed us both. Freed her from guilt. Freed me from bitterness. Freed us both to heal. To rebuild. To move forward. To experience God's grace and restoration. Today, 5 years later, I'm living proof that God restores what the enemy steals. That God heals what seems unhealable. That God redeems what seems unredeemable. That God makes beauty from ashes. That God gives joy for mourning. That God provides peace for turmoil. That God grants freedom for captivity. I didn't mean to hurt you, but I loved him too. I hear those words differently now. Not with anger, not with pain, but with compassion, with understanding, with gratitude that the truth was finally told, with thankfulness that explanations were finally given, with appreciation that closure was finally possible. Lauren destroyed my marriage, but she didn't destroy me. Cameron betrayed me, but he didn't define me. The affair shattered my life, but it didn't shatter my faith, and through it all, God remained faithful. God remained present. God remained committed to my healing. God remained determined to restore me, and he did. He restored me to wholeness, to joy, to peace, to purpose, to a beautiful life I never could have imagined during my darkest days. I didn't mean to hurt you, but I loved him too. Those words used to be my nightmare. Now they're part of my testimony, part of my story, part of how God taught me about grace, about mercy, about forgiveness, about freedom, about restoration, about redemption, about how he can take the worst betrayal and turn it into the most powerful testimony, about how he can take the deepest pain and turn it into the greatest purpose, about how he can take broken pieces and create something more beautiful than what existed before. 5 years ago, I never would have believed I'd be here. Happily married, mother of 2, thriving in my career, leading in ministry, sharing my testimony, living in complete freedom. But God, those 2 words explain everything. But God stepped in. But God healed me. But God restored me. But God redeemed my story. But God gave me a future better than my past. But God proved his faithfulness. But God showed his power. But God demonstrated his love. I didn't mean to hurt you, but I loved him too. I forgive you, Lauren. I release you. I pray for you. I hope you're healed. I hope you're whole. I hope you're experiencing God's grace. I hope you've learned that real love never destroys others, that real love honors boundaries, that real love respects commitments, that real love protects rather than betrays. And I hope someday you find that kind of love, the kind that builds instead of destroys, the kind that heals instead of hurts. the kind that reflects Jesus instead of reflecting brokenness. Thank you for telling me the truth. Thank you for explaining why. Thank you for giving me closure. Thank you for allowing me to stop blaming myself. Thank you for your honesty, even though it was painful. Thank you for your confession, even though it was costly. And thank you for receiving my forgiveness, even though you said you didn't deserve it, because that forgiveness set us both free. And freedom is what Jesus died to give us. Freedom from sin, freedom from shame, freedom from guilt, freedom from bitterness, freedom from unforgiveness, freedom to live, freedom to love, freedom to trust, freedom to heal, freedom to be whole. I didn't mean to hurt you, but I loved him too. I believe you. I believe you didn't mean to hurt me. I believe you loved him. I believe your confession was honest. And I believe God used your honesty to set me free. So thank you for your courage, for your truth, for your vulnerability. And may God bless you with the same freedom he gave me, the same healing, the same restoration, the same redemption, the same grace, the same mercy, the same love. 5 years later, I'm free, completely free. And if I can be free, anyone can. If I can forgive, anyone can. If I can heal, anyone can. If I can love again, anyone can. If I can trust again, anyone can. If God can restore my life, God can restore anyone's life. That's the power of forgiveness. That's the gift of grace. That's the promise of redemption. That's the testimony of Jesus. I didn't mean to hurt you, but I loved him too. Those words changed everything, and I'm grateful they were finally spoken. Because truth, no matter how painful, is always better than lies. And freedom, no matter how costly, is always better than bondage. And forgiveness, no matter how difficult, is always better than bitterness. Thank you, Lauren, for telling the truth. Thank you, Jesus, for giving me grace to forgive. Thank you, Jordan, for showing me what real love looks like. Thank you, Zoe and Isaiah, for being my joy. Thank you, Pastor Denise, for walking me through the valley. Thank you, God, for restoring my life. I didn't mean to hurt you, but I loved him too. I forgive you, and I'm free. And subscribe for true stories about Black women who chose forgiveness and found extraordinary restoration. Hit like if you believe God redeems even the deepest betrayals. Comment: have you ever forgiven someone who broke your heart? How did forgiveness change you? Remember, forgiveness doesn't excuse their behavior. It frees you from carrying their burden. See you in the next story.